Hey, it's John from Tinderbox Arts. So a quick little review today of the Powerbronze Sports Screen. This is for the R1200RT, model years 09 through 13. I think they also make it for other model years, but this is right in the middle of my model year. And basically it comes with the screen itself, and it has some spacers in this package here, because the new screen is actually a little bit thinner than the stock screen. So the stock screen on my R1200RT is great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. The trouble is it's too good. And here in New Jersey at the summertime, it gets quite hot. You know, high 90s are routine, and the humidity is really bad. So I just need more airflow. It was driving me crazy that you try to get out on this bike and it just, it's just brutally hot. There's just no airflow because the windscreen works so good. So my hope was to try to find something shorter that would still offer maybe a little bit of protection for my GPS unit, but other than that, I really wanted more airflow rather than less. Another part of my thinking was I'm a shorter person and I have the short, the low seat and low suspension, so I sit fairly low in the bike, and as a result, the stock screen, puts that airflow. Even when when it is down all the way, the airflow is right to the top of my helmet. Not to my eyes, not to my chin, but right to the top. So what I'm going to do is just install this. It's very easy if you've never done it. There's just 2 screws on either side. You take these out, and then there's another one in the middle here. That's it, and it's very easy. You're going to reuse this existing hardware here, and then you'll use those spacers just because the old windshield is just a little bit thicker than the new one. But I don't think that's going to be a problem long term. So anyway, I'm going to get this new one installed. But before I do, what I'm going to do is just take some measurements of the height of the windshield on the stock configuration. And then I'll take a measurement of the new one to give you some idea of how much lower it is. The actual measurement really isn't important. I just want to get a relative measurement between the two so we have an idea of what the difference will be. All right, I'm not going to get too scientific about this, but basically I've got a ruler at the top of the gas tank there, right on the lever. I put a level here, and we read about 14 7/8. Let me pull back, 14 7/8 there. So I'm just going to take a measurement of the new one using the same method, and then we'll just have a relative idea of how much difference there is between the two. All right, to my surprise, I'm actually already not pleased with some of the installation part here. I've been going through a storehouse of grommets and O-rings, trying to find something that'll work here. So my problem is, the stock screen, now this is the new one, the stock screen is thicker, so the stock screen fits over this middle screw here, and with a little bit of play, but when you torque it down with, that's the stock screw and the stock washer, when you torque that down here, it's tight, but because the new screen is thinner, it isn't. So essentially this screw does nothing now because, it doesn't hit the plastic windscreen. So what I ended up doing was taking a grommet, which was close to the right size, and cut it in half. So I'm using half the grommet over here so you can see what I did here. Alright, so I have this stock, that's the stock screw, stock washer, and then a piece of rubber grommet below it, which now squeezes the plastic, to the base underneath. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side for the middle screw. And then, let me just show you here. Here are the washers they give you. Whoops, yeah, I already lost them, that's great. Here are the washers they give you, and they are supposed to go on these top and bottom screw. But again, there's nothing, I wish it would fit inside there. I don't know, just, I know it's not a very expensive screen, but good Lord, you could have researched the hardware a little bit better. But anyway, I guess I'm going to make this work. All right, so check it out. I used that half a grommet on this side and on this side in the middle, and that works fine. It's on there. But now, if you go to what they want you to use, which are these plastic washers they gave you, they want them to go here, which I think they intended this inside diameter fit around this post, but it doesn't. It doesn't fit there. So if I use it like this, it obviously would not work. I don't know if they just sent the wrong hardware or this changed. I don't know, but whatever, it's not working. So now I guess maybe I'll get I'll try to find a rubber grommet or an O-ring or something to put over this. Alright, call me silly if you like, but I just didn't like that old plan, so I'm on plan C, I guess it is now. So now what I've done is, okay, let's make the windshield thicker. What I did was put rubber weather stripping on the inside here where it won't show. This is just that I just happen to have some around. Alright, so it's just weather stripping. And it'll come off when I replace it with the stock windshield. And when I torque down the stock screw with the stock washer, that brings it pretty close. Now I'm going to put the covers on. We'll see how we do with that. When I tried the other method, you know, these covers would leave a gap here between the windshield and the cover, and that's just going to, dirt and filth is just going to get in there and be difficult to clean and be a pain and rattle around. So the hell with that. So let's see if this works. Alright, that seems to be the solution. So I didn't use these washers at all. I didn't use anything but the stock hardware. And that's a nice tight fit there right now. No problems. And so all I did was put that rubber weather stripping on the inside, you know, between the base and the windshield. And I just, you know, did kind of a pattern here so it covers as much as I could. It doesn't show, you know, once this is on, it doesn't show. And it'll come off easily when I replace it with the stock windshield. So that seems to be the solution. All right, so the new windscreen, I'm at 12 3/8. So I'm not measuring perfectly exactly here. So it's roughly 2.5 inches lower than the stock at the low position. Now that may seem a little crazy because it looks a lot shorter. If I pull back here a little bit, I'm going to pull this out and show you it in the daylight here. But it looks a lot shorter, and if you see where my GPS is now, you know, it's right above here. So it looks a lot shorter, but in actual height difference, it's about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to take this on a ride, and then we'll see how much difference it actually makes. I'll report back when I get back from the ride. And it's certainly a nice hot day to try it. You know, as far as the looks of it, it's, you know, it looks shorter, and this isn't super, you know, I might have put a different shape here, but whatever. You know, it's a cheap windshield. The machining on it is not great. I mean, like, there's a rough edge right here, and it's not a perfectly, you know, smooth edge there, whatever. But for what I'm asking here and for what I paid for it, I guess that's about what you get. So, all right, so what's the verdict? I'm just back from a quick little ride here. God, it's 2 o'clock almost in the afternoon, and it is brutally hot. So it was certainly a good test. You know, it made a marginal difference as far as wind or airflow to my head and my helmet area. Marginal. And, you know, we saw that the height of this was about 2.5 inches lower than the stock in the low position, and really that's right about how much difference it made as far as my helmet. The old windshield, you know, just the top of my helmet would get some airflow with the screen all the way down, and this one, it's about 2.5 inches lower where I feel it. Now I do get a little more air. It's not direct air, but it's like indirect air to my neck and a little bit to my chest, but not a whole heck of a lot. So it does not make a dramatic difference, that's for sure. So is it worth it? You know, knowing what I know now, I don't know that I necessarily would do it again. It's, I don't know, it's not an expensive windshield, you know, so you can certainly justify the cost, I think, but it doesn't make as much difference as I would wish. As far as sight line, it's definitely better, because before the old windshield, I would look sort of through the windshield most of the time. Now with this on the low position, I look right over it, no problem. Now somebody who is taller might notice more of a difference, I think. So I'm 5'5". You know, if you're 5'8" or 10 or 6 feet, you might notice more of a difference with this windshield. That is probably plausible. Now, a lot of people argue the easiest thing to do and cheapest thing to do is just remove the windshield altogether. And that's certainly true. I wouldn't have a problem with that necessarily, other than I like to have some protection for the GPS if it starts raining. That way I don't have, you know, rain just driving into the back of that GPS right here. Or for that matter, just keeping stones and things off of me when I'm on the highway and that sort of thing. All right, so what's the bottom line here? You know, cost is not great. It's an inexpensive little windshield. Installation was finicky for me to get it the way I wanted. You know, maybe other people will have an easier time of it than I did. Quality, it's adequate. It's certainly not up to OEM standards, but I didn't really expect it to be for this price. But, you know, it's okay. It's not going to break or anything. But as far as airflow, it really didn't make that much difference for me. So if you're taller than I am, maybe it would be a better fit for you. If you don't care about protecting the GPS from rain and rocks and things like that, then you might just take the windshield off like a lot of people do and leave it at that. So leave the windshield off in the summertime and put it back on in the wintertime. It doesn't look quite as nice, but whatever. But for me, I don't know that I would do it again. It's kind of right on the margin there. So I would think carefully about some of the details I've talked about here before you go purchasing this. Even though it's not a great expense, it's not going to provide a lot more airflow. It'll provide a little more airflow. And if that's worth it to you, great. If it's not, maybe you should hold off.